Tyler Smith, everybody was attacking the Cowboys on why they drafted him where he was. Jermaine Johnson was sitting there. They could have drafted him, add another defensive player to that defensive line with Micah Parsons. They didn't go there. They went after this offensive lineman. People are questioning. Some people thought we've had scouts talk on the show and said at one point he was a top 10 pick a year ago. And then he kind of fell off this past year because he didn't play as well in certain games. When you look at this Cowboys team as a whole, okay, and it's a whole, is this a playoff team this year?
I do believe it's a playoff team. It will not be easy, though. I do believe that they have a chance to win the division again. Because I think that the division is still very much in flux. I know a lot of people are in love with Philadelphia, the moves that they've made, and they have made some very, shrewd moves, but remains to be seen if they're ready to take that mantle from the Cowboys. And when you look at the Giants, you got an entire new coaching staff again. Daniel Jones, is he ready to finally be a consistent starting quarterback? And in Washington, Carson Wentz, we saw how things went there. So I believe it's going to be a two-horse race between Dallas and Philadelphia. The head-to-head matchups will be critical. But yes, I do believe it can be a playoff team if things come together. And obviously, like any team, there's no significant injuries.
We do love Washington, by the way, especially the stupidity of their owner. I mean, it is great to have bad guys and bad teams in the NFL. And when you look at Washington, I respect the fans because I think they have one of the best fans in all of sports. But the problem is over there, the ownership over there is just lackadaisical. He is a complete moron. And in everything, in every kind of way, if I was somebody, and I'm not going to mention a name, who is suing the NFL and suing the Washington Commanders for throwing him under the bus when ownership should have been thrown under the bus 100%. And everybody knows, I'm not going to name the coach because everybody knows who I'm talking about. It is absolutely appalling that man still owns that team, okay? And the NFL should be ashamed of themselves for letting that guy still be a part of that organization. That's all I'm going to say about that. Go ahead.
That's a lot, and I'll leave it at that too.
So I want to say, in your observation so far, and what you've heard and seen at training camp so far, is there any under-the-radar players for Dallas that we should be looking out for that may be a breakout-type candidate?
I don't know necessarily about a breakout guy, but talking to some folks today as we were talking about the receiving core and right now being a little bit thin, but a young man who's had a great camp so far, Dennis Houston, out of Western Illinois, undrafted free agent, and seems to be really steady in just his approach to the game and has definitely raised some eyebrows. So he is a guy, look, he's going to get opportunities because of the injuries and the departure, obviously, of Amari Cooper. And in preseason, I don't anticipate a lot of the starters seeing any time. And let me just restate, any time, because you've got a 3-game preseason. The Cowboys will work Thursday against Denver before they play them in preseason Saturday. They'll have a practice against the Chargers as well the following week. So I don't anticipate the starters seeing any time, or if so, very, very little time. And it'll open the door for guys like Dennis Houston to step up. But he could be a guy in the receiving core that could find himself on the field a lot more than people would imagine.
As everybody knows, we are talking to the Cowboys and Suns play-by-play broadcaster, friend of the show, Kevin Ray. Kevin, last question for me. Zeke, baby. I've always liked Zeke from Ohio State. I thought he was drafted a little too high, but I still think he's a fantastic running back. But last year, even though his numbers would show that he had a decent season, Tony Pollard really stuck out like a sore thumb more than he did. And a lot of people are saying that Tony Pollard is going to see more looks this year than he did last year, and that means this could be the end of Zeke as we know it. Do you think that's true, or do you think that the Cowboys still believe Zeke is the number one running back of this team?
Well, I think they believe he's the number one, but it really does, and you hit it right on the head when you look at the dynamic numbers that you got from Tony Pollard. It really is 1A and 1B. And quite frankly, that's the way it should be. That's the way I thought it would be last year and early on in the year. We saw more two-back sets and we saw more motion with Tony Pollard. Look, he's a terrific receiver. So I wouldn't be surprised, and I've got nothing to base this on other than just his productivity out of the backfield as a pass catcher. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see Tony Pollard, run some out of the slot, coming out of the backfield in motion. I always felt like that was one area when you looked at the play calling beyond the players. I think that a lot of folks were really disappointed in the play calling the last 6 weeks from Kellen Moore in that offense. Got really vanilla and didn't utilize the weapon that you've got into Tony Pollard. So I really think that Tony will be on the field. I'm certainly hoping he'll be on the field more, the two-back set, but you run him in motion, bring him out, run him out of a slot situation, and let him operate in space. And when he does that, he can make something happen. As far as Zeke goes, best shape of his life when you look at him, when you talk to folks. And as it was to say, it's not just the running back. You've got to have some help up front,
of course,
with your big offensive linemen. So it goes hand in glove there. But I think if Zeke puts up, strong numbers again this season, I think he'll have a chance to come back, but I think it's going to be on a rework contract, or he will probably be shown the door. To your point, probably got more money than they really needed. That's something that came out, immediately once the deal was done. But I believe that Zeke is still a very, very good back. And if he stays healthy, I think he has a chance to have another strong season.
I don't want to throw you under the bus because I know Jerry pays you, but what the heck is Jerry thinking about when he's showing everybody the way he drafts? What is he doing? I think he's a smart man. He's a smart businessman. But how do you go to the press and say, well, this is what we do? And he shows everybody how they draft. His son was even telling him, Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, come on, Jerry. What are you thinking? I mean,
well, and just to be clear, I do the games for Compass Media Network.
I'm just kidding. I
don't get any checks from Jerry.
I know.
But I know what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, it's a high entertainment value when you're talking about the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm. Mr. George Steinbrenner Jr. Okay, that's what no wonder why they were best friends. Oh my God.
My last question: one bold prediction for either one of your teams, the Cowboys, and one for the Suns for this upcoming season.
Boy, bold prediction. I'm very intrigued by this Cowboys team because it comes in. It's the first time in about 5 years where I just really don't quite know what to expect because there's so many new faces. That being said, I can see this team, if they remain injury free and people really play, up to their level, and the coaching staff coaches up to their level, I can see this team making a push. I'm not sure if it's a Super Bowl team, but I can see them winning 12, maybe 13 games. As it goes to the Suns,
wow.
Look, I'm a big believer in this team, even if they're not able to pull off the KD deal. I think they've got a lot of great pieces coming back, and it's a hungry team, especially based on considering the way that they kind of faltered there at the end in the playoffs against the Dallas Mavericks. So I see the Suns team contending once again with or without KD.
I love your take with Phoenix because I absolutely agree with you. I think Phoenix can win the championship whenever Chris Paul stands up and actually plays as hard as he does in the regular season. I think Chris Paul, the one thought that everybody's going to put on Chris Paul if he never wins a championship, I believe Chris Paul is the greatest point guard of this decade, okay? He is, I don't care what anybody says about Steph Curry. Steph Curry is a great three-point shooter. He is not a two-way basketball player, and he's not Chris Paul. Chris Paul has gone everywhere, and he has made those teams better. Steph Curry could never do that. I'm sorry, he could never do that. So to compare Steph Curry to Chris Paul is bonkers, okay? But Steph Curry's always going to look like he is better because he's won 4 titles and he played with superstars after superstars after superstars, and he is the face of that organization. That being said, the Cowboys, 12-13 wins. I don't know, my friends. That's a lot of wins.
He said bold prediction. I mean, I wasn't going to bring anything vanilla. So
that's a lot of wins for the Cowboys, especially like you said. There's so many new faces, but I love you, Kevin. I love everything about you. You're a hardworking man. You're the voice of the Cowboys. You're the voice of the Suns, and you're one of the main reasons why every time you get a chance to listen to the Cowboys play-by-play on the radio and the Suns on the radio, and you listen to you know what you're talking about, and you have such a good background of understanding the game. So we really appreciate you, and we'll be in touch a lot quicker than 2 years or 3 years.
Appreciate it, guys. Always enjoy the invite. Take care.